Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Our next weather maker is developing across parts of the Midwest. It could bring us some severe storms by Friday. I'll walk you through the timeline.
Tit for tat, China responds to President Trump's latest round of tariffs. How the markets are responding to another day of hikes.
Protecting our drinking water. After years of planning and building, a new water testing facility opens today. How the lab will ensure safe and reliable drinking water.
Our next weather maker is starting to move in from the Midwest right now, and tomorrow night and Friday, storms are possible here. Good afternoon to you. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Renee Chu. Thanks for joining us. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner is on the WRAL weather patio with an early look at Friday's severe threat.
We're already starting to pick up this system as the low pressure begins to develop up near the Great Lakes. And you can see just to the south and west of Chicago, some rain associated with this. It's still fairly far to our west. Notice the warm front. That's the yellow line starting to push up to the northeast. That's going to change our wind direction for tomorrow, and we'll start to warm up. So highs will only be in the 60s today, but tomorrow we climb into the 70s with that warm front moving past us. This next weather maker does prove to be a severe weather threat for our eastern counties, and I'll show you which ones those are. Looking at rain Thursday night and Friday, and hail is possible with these cells. We're going to explain why that is coming up in just a little while. For tomorrow, expect increasing clouds. We should be nice and dry in the morning with some bright skies. Once we get closer to the evening, say 8, 9 o'clock, notice that line pushes through. It's possible that we would see some severe storms at that point. But this is Friday, and Friday we could see a stray shower in the morning. And then as the cold front itself rolls through during the evening, we could also see a threat for some severe storms. That would be late afternoon and into the evening. For tomorrow, this is a look at our hour-by-hour chance of rain. Couldn't rule it out during the evening commute, but a much better chance starting between 8 and 9 o'clock, and then we'll see some rain overnight. Our severe weather threat for Friday is going to be our far eastern counties. Coming up, we're going to talk about how we could see hail forming in these storms.
Elizabeth, thanks. Schools across the country and right here at home have seen the federal government terminate student visas. 2 students left NC State last week because of it, and UNC Chapel Hill announced 6 students there are impacted. WRAL's Chelsea Donovan is live at the state legislature where groups are asking lawmakers what can be done about this. Chelsea.
Yeah, so college students from NC State as well as Duke University have been walking around here all morning as part of El Pueblo. That is an immigration rights nonprofit organization, and they are working to advocate for student rights, among other things. Now, we were there as students and advocates met with lawmakers here. One of their other greater concerns is Senate Bill 153. That's a bill that seeks to force state agencies to cooperate with ICE and check immigration status of those who they interact with. Of course, El Pueblo is fighting against that. Now, that comes hand in hand with visas being revoked at our area colleges with no clear reasons. Students having to leave on a moment's notice to return to their home country. The visa terminations are a result of travel restrictions implemented by the Trump administration. Take a listen to one of the Duke students we caught up with today.
I have friends that can't go back to their families because they fear they won't be let back into the country. It's just a general sense of we could be doing everything right, but our visas could still be revoked.
Now, we should mention we spoke with the State Department last week. They gave us a general response that they can't comment on these, citing confidentiality and privacy concerns. They did note that everyone that has a student visa is continuously vetted. This is part of roughly 300 student visas that have been terminated under Trump's administration over the past month. Live in downtown Raleigh, Chelsea Donovan, WRAL News.
And right now at 12:03, we take a live look at stocks here midweek of our trading week, and it's been down since last week, and it's down again, but it has spent several moments this morning, all throughout the morning, in positive territory. Down 92 as we sit right now. S&P 500 is down marginally, pretty even throughout the morning. And the NASDAQ is the only one in positive territory right now, up about 50 points this noon. Now, the strength of the U.S. dollar hit a 6-month low today after President Trump's punishing new tariffs came into effect. An index that measures the dollar against certain other major currencies is down nearly 0.9%. One economist says the dollar's weakness may reflect a clear and present danger to the U.S. economy.
Breaking news, European Union members just approved new tariffs on $23 billion in U.S. goods in retaliation for Trump's steel and aluminum tariffs. The action is in stark contrast to reaction the president says he has received. During his 90-minute speech at a Republican fundraiser, he made this remark.
They are dying to make a deal. Please, sir, make a deal. I'll do anything, sir. And then I'll see some rebel Republican, some guy that wants to grandstand, say, I think that Congress should take over negotiations. Let me tell you, you don't negotiate like I negotiate.
President Trump went on to mock world leaders desperate to reduce levies. NBC's Janice Mackey-Frayer shares Beijing's reaction to the massive 104% tax on Chinese goods.
China is showing no sign of backing down from an all-out trade war with the U.S. Officials here have announced even more countermeasures, 84% tariffs on U.S. imports, no longer the 34% they announced last week to match the latest round out of the U.S. So the gloves are off. And this is going to impact U.S. farmers, sending goods like soybeans and poultry to China, as well as some energy products. And there's talk of more to come, like a ban on Hollywood films and possibly cutting off talks on fentanyl cooperation. The 104% tariffs on Chinese goods will hike the cost of everything from clothing and shoes to toys and electronics, all the things used in American homes. Also overnight, President Trump tripled duties to 90% on small packages that had been coming into the U.S. duty-free from retailers like Shein and Temu. President Trump has said that China wants to make a deal badly, but there's no indication here that Beijing even wants to talk, let alone line up with the dozens of other countries that are now looking to the White House for tariff relief. Janice Mackey-Frayer, NBC News, Beijing.
Two organizations are suing the Trump administration for dismantling museum and library services. The American Library Association and the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees wants a judge to reverse the action. The ALA and AFSCME says most of their staff has been placed on leave. They also claim grants intended for libraries and museums were canceled. The complaint calls the actions illegal because they were taken without congressional approval.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, we have just learned the FAA has replaced air traffic control managers at Ronald Reagan National Airport. They're bringing in a completely new management team. The move comes after several serious aviation incidents at the D.C. area airport in recent months. You remember that January mid-air collision between a U.S. Army helicopter and an American Airlines jet that killed 67 people. Also, that close call between U.S. Air Force jets and a Delta Airlines plane taking off on March 28th.
All right, thanks for that, Michelle. The drinking water in Raleigh is getting safer. A new lab opened up today, expanding the city's ability to test its water, a change decades in the making. WRAL's Sean Gallagher is there now. Sean, what does this new site do for the water supply?
Well, Jeff, this is the first new water quality testing lab since the late 60s. As you can see, a lot has changed since then with all these new machines that they use to make sure the water is up to snuff. And this will make it a lot more efficient for them to do as well. Now, today they cut the ribbon on the $16 million project, and we got a tour inside the 15,000 square foot building. More space for these labs to expand their water testing capabilities. Right now, they serve 650,000 people across Wake County, and I'm told this site will help them keep up with water testing as the area continues to grow. And with that, more precise testing for any contaminants that may make its way into the water supply.
When I started in this business, one of the lower concentrations you would ever see in a water quality test is parts per million. It is now parts per trillion. So we are now getting new equipment, new methods, so we can run tests down to these extremely low levels.
Now, so much is being made about fluoride in the water right now. Raleigh Water says that's removing it is as simple as just turning a valve off. But those decisions are made at a federal level with state officials deciding on permits. But no matter what happens, Buchan says Raleigh Water will comply. Now, one other thing this plant will help with is the taste of water. You might remember around this time last year, there was a funky odor and taste with the water. That was because of an algae bloom, but the expanded testing capability here should help with that going away even sooner once they identify it. In Raleigh, Sean Gallagher, WRAL News.
Very important work happening in those labs. Sean, thanks. A man charged in a shooting at a Raleigh gas station is due in court this afternoon. Jaheim Solomon faces several charges, including assault with a deadly weapon. This was the scene just before midnight over at the refuel station on Tryon Road. Police say a man was shot while he was inside a white SUV in the parking lot there. He is expected to recover. Police say they arrested Solomon after another shots fired call over on Friar Tuck Road. No one was hurt at that location. A second person has died following a shooting in Raleigh yesterday. Sky 5 flew over the scene yesterday afternoon on Sumner Boulevard. Police found one man dead at the scene, and officers say he shot a woman before taking his own life. Police have not released their names or a motive for the shooting.
A North Carolina man whose 8-year-old daughter was shot and killed by her babysitter's son is telling his story now. Fawn Dockery is speaking at the Crime Victims Memorial Garden in Raleigh. It's part of National Crime Victim Rights Week. Genesis Dockery was shot and killed by her babysitter's 11-year-old son in 2023. And we told you in our WRAL documentary, Unsafe North Carolina Kids Dying from Gun Violence, that 11-year-old stole the gun from his grandfather's safe after figuring out the code. Fawn Dockery will also discuss safe gun storage legislation with lawmakers today. You can watch the entire Unsafe documentary on WRAL. Just go to the documentary section.
Next at noon, raising minimum wage, how much workers can expect, and how long it's been since that number changed.
Also, tariff trauma. An expert predicts the price of an iPhone if they have to be built here in the U.S.
Plus, more duties for the DMV, already swamped. What the agency is being asked to do now.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.
Dramatic body cam video captures the moment police officers and a bystander jumped into action at the scene of an explosion and at a firehouse. Yeah, to be clear, this is a house fire. It happened at a home in Christopher, Illinois, right near the Missouri border. Those crews were surveying the scene when the house just suddenly exploded right out of the top floor. It brought the porch roof down onto a firefighter, and rescues had to pull him out to safety within minutes. He's recovering from minor injuries. The home was destroyed. No word on what caused that fire and explosion. A woman in Pennsylvania walked away uninjured after a tree fell on her car while she was inside the car. It was all caught on camera here. Take a look at this video taken near Philadelphia as a tree slams down onto the roof just over the back seat of that SUV and just smashed right through it. Seconds later, that woman opened the door and walked away uninjured. Talks to another driver who was right in front of her. What a story she has to tell there. The person in front of her was waiting at a traffic light. That was the backup, and the timing of all that, just dangerous.
So glad she's okay. A judge appointed by President Trump during his first term ordered the administration to lift access restrictions forced on the Associated Press. The White House began limiting the AP's access in February after the agency would not refer to the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America. The judge ruled that under the First Amendment, if the government opens its doors to some journalists, it cannot then shut those doors to other journalists because of their viewpoints. The Trump administration is freezing more than $1 billion in federal funding for Northwestern and Cornell universities. The White House has reportedly cut $790 million from Northwestern. Cornell says it has received more than 75 stop work orders from the Defense Department for various research projects, but says it has not received notice of $1 billion in funding cuts.
There's a new push to raise the federal minimum wage. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders and Democrats rolled out the Raise the Wage Act of 2025. The bill would raise the minimum wage to $17 by the year 2030. The current federally mandated hourly wage in the U.S., $7.05 an hour. It has not increased since 2009.
In my view, and I think the view of the overwhelming majority of the American people, we can no longer accept a rigged economy where the people on top have never, ever had it so good, while working people are struggling to put food on the table.
Legislation has 142 co-sponsors in the House. It would gradually increase the minimum wage over a 5-year period. Today, we're asking you to share your voice right now by scanning the QR code on your screen, or you can head to WRAL.com/yourvoice, and we will share the results before the end of this newscast. Should the government raise the minimum wage to $20 an hour? Weigh in. Let us know what you think.
Since the start of April, the U.S. has seen more than 100 reported tornadoes. Meteorologist Chris Michaels tells us why there are two parts of the country that see twisters so often this time of year.
And of course, we are far away from Tornado Alley, but we do have sort of two peaks to severe weather season here in North Carolina. On average, in April and May, we see 10 tornadoes across the state, and there's a secondary peak that happens during the peak of hurricane season. But even at that, we don't see nearly as much as what they get in Tornado Alley and also in Dixie Alley, which is states like Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas, and Tennessee. This part of the world, this part of the country is extremely favored for this kind of weather this time of year because of how often you get storm systems that form east of the Rockies. And when those storm systems do form, you see a number of different temperature boundaries because of all the warmth and humidity that comes in from the Gulf, the cold and dry air that comes in off of the Rockies. So you get really quickly rising air. So the storms have the tendency to become strong anyways, and then they spin east of the mountains. So that's why Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska are so favored for tornadoes. But over the past few decades, and especially these past several years, you notice more of these storms happening in what's called Dixie Alley, and you see that tendency there. So Tornado Alley isn't necessarily shifting, but you are seeing more of these storms in places like Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, and Arkansas. And right now on WRAL.com, we're talking about why that's the case. If you just go to our website and search Ask the Meteorologist, you'll find that and a number of other segments.
Chris, thanks for that. As we take a look outside, lots of sunshine. Still pretty cool out there, though. Elizabeth Gardner on the WRAL weather patio. We are due for a nice warm-up today.
We are. Temperatures should be in the low to mid 60s, so that's comfortable. It's just not necessarily shorts and T-shirts weather. Cool and bright, like it was yesterday. It was just really amazing. Yesterday, once we saw the pollen get washed away and the humidity drop, it was so comfortable, and it's cool and bright out here again today. The next thing that happens, next weather maker after that, rain on Thursday evening, Thursday night, and then we have a low threat of severe storms on Friday. That's more likely to be during the afternoon and evening. But it's beautiful out here in the gardens. I had the pleasure of meeting a few people out here just a few minutes ago. Plenty of people back there in the azaleas, and they are at full bloom right now. Just a beautiful time to be here. Typically, they're blooming for a few weeks, so this week and next week should still be good. 52 is our current temperature, but it's really just a stunning afternoon out here. We'll climb on up about 10 more degrees into the low 60s. Our temperature is 48 in Roxborough. It's 49 in South Hill, 52 in Raleigh, of course, 54 in Southern Pines, 55 in Fayetteville and in Clinton. Just a little bit of a light breeze still coming out of the north, so keeping our temperatures cool, but we'll see more of a southerly breeze tomorrow, helping to warm things up. Closer to the Triangle, it's 55 in Apex, 54 in Cary, 51 in Garner. It's 52 up in Wake Forest. We did have a cold start this morning. Several places had temperatures below freezing. Henderson and Oxford were in the upper 20s, and it's the upper 20s that we get more concerned about. If the temperatures are in the upper 20s for 2 or 3 hours, that will cause damage to tender vegetation like the strawberries and the peaches and your backyard garden if you've already planted. Hurdle Mills at 31 last night or this morning, Roanoke Rapids and Roxborough at 32. But from the Triangle areas southward, we didn't see any freezing temperatures. The average last freeze of the year in Raleigh is April 7th, and today's the 9th, so we're pretty close to that. The earliest last freeze was February 21st of last year, and the latest May 10th, 1977. We have milder mornings in our forecast. It won't be nearly as cold for tomorrow morning, and really going forward forward into next week. As a matter of fact, we have a nice warm up in our forecast for next week. This afternoon, 63 in Raleigh, 61 in Durham, and 66 in Fayetteville. So running a little below normal. We're also looking at some rain for tomorrow. It's likely to start around 8 or 9 o'clock, but there could be some light showers or sprinkles during the evening commute. We take a look at our rain chances for Friday. It's a 70% chance, and then it tapers off on Saturday, maybe just a quick early morning shower, and then Sunday looks nice and dry. Our temperatures will be cool behind Friday's system. Saturday and Sunday in the 60s, and then 80s on Monday and Tuesday. Coming up, we're going to walk through Friday hour by hour and talk about why and how we could see some hail.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Higher costs for small business owners. The impacts of new tariffs already being felt by locally owned businesses. Coming up at 4, we hear how those business owners are making changes to accommodate the costs.
Then at 5, preparing for measles. The outbreak continues to grow across the U.S. Hear how health officials in North Carolina are preparing for potential infections here. Well, still ahead this noon, prove your identity. A new deadline is approaching for some people who receive Social Security checks. Coming up, how to make sure you get your money.
And some Big Lots stores are reopening tomorrow. After the break, we'll tell you when you could see Big Lots reopen near you. Some important changes to Social Security are set to take effect in just a few days. It involves a way you have to prove your identity, but it's only going to affect certain people. 5 on your side's Keely Arthur explains who.
These policy changes start Monday and have been billed by the Trump administration as an effort to reduce fraud. Starting April 14th, if you want to make changes to your direct deposit information, you'll either have to do it online through My Social Security account, or if that doesn't work, go to a Social Security Administration office in person to prove your identity. So who does this affect? People who are filing claims for new Social Security benefits and people who need to change their direct deposit information that's already on file. But if you don't need to do either of those things, you don't need to visit an office to prove your identity, and you should not see any interruption of your benefits. Keely Arthur, 5 on your side.
Spotify users, listen up. The company says it will not begin to run ads for premium users. There was a rumor that began swirling on social media yesterday after fans shared their dislike online. Spotify's official X account confirmed the rumor is false, and they say premium music listening is and will remain ad-free. Spotify's premium plan is $11.99 a month. President Trump says any price increases caused by tariffs will reduce when companies move production to the U.S. A tech analyst says that's not necessarily true, though. Dan Ives says if iPhones, for instance, were to be made here, they'd cost about $3,500 because replicating the highly complex production needed to make them here would be expensive.
More work for DMV employees. Coming up, the new responsibilities employed on the understaffed agency.
Detecting autism early is the focus of new innovation. Find out what doctors created to help them diagnose children with autism sooner than before. And here are your winning NC Education lottery numbers on your screen right now. Renee and I'll be right back.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
It's no secret the DMV is strained right now, overwhelmed at times. We've reported on the long lines, the lack of appointments available, and other problems. And today, state lawmakers proposed adding several new responsibilities to the agency. WRAL state government reporter Will Dorn joins us now to break this down. Will.
Yeah, today's action of the legislature really highlights the tough spot the state leaders are in right now. They want to improve road safety, but doing so requires more work by the DMV, which we've seen is already overworked and understaffed. And this all comes as the state is also conducting an intensive audit into the DMV to figure out what's going on there, what they need to do to improve.
So explain these new bills that were heard today. What are lawmakers proposing here?
Well, there's a lot. One of these bills is going to require the DMV to ask for people's emergency contact information when they go to renew their license. That would obviously help first responders at crash scenes, but that's just more paperwork on top of what the DMV already has to do. And then there's a bill to require adults who are seeking a license for the first time ever to go and take a class on drug and alcohol abuse. So the DMV would need to create these classes, make sure they're available statewide, and then go and confirm that they're completed before they can give people their licenses. So, this seems like a reasonable effort to cut down on DUIs. But again, this just means more work piled on the DMV, which we've seen is struggling to handle the work it currently has.
So, are lawmakers going to do anything to help the DMV? Are they going to hire new staff or get rid of some of the red tape to get through this process?
Yes, we are expecting some help. The new state budget isn't public yet, but we'll likely see some extra funding in there for the DMV. And then there's some other bills that lawmakers have proposed that they say would shorten these lines. Today, they debated a bill to make it easier for teenagers who are on a learner's permit to go to a full license. That would take getting rid of some eligibility rules, clearing off a waiting period. And then there was also a new bill filed yesterday to let people keep driving with an expired license for up to 2 years. And supporters say both of these would cut down at these long lines we've seen at the DMVs, but they do face critics who are worried about the safety implications.
Yeah, Will, thanks. There's a lot there. It's a hot topic all around the state and one that we are going to stay on top of and look for more answers. We appreciate the time. The state lawmakers are also discussing a bill that would nearly double the price of vehicle inspections across the state. Inspections currently cost $23.75. Bills in the House and Senate would increase them to $40.15. Supporters say the change would bring inspection fees more in line with the hourly rate of mechanics. Vehicles must pass annual safety inspections before the owner can renew the vehicle registration.
A new proposal in the State House would ban the sale of hemp or THC products to anyone under 21. It would also require any store that sells those products to have a state license. Sponsors of the bill say THC candy, drink, and even vape products are increasingly being targeted to children and teens. Those products are legal in North Carolina with no age limit. The law says they can't have more than 0.3 THC, but that's not being enforced. Bill sponsors say many products they've tested have much higher concentrations of the psychoactive drug. Raleigh teen Dabney Ferris got hooked on THC at the age of 15. She said she never had a problem buying as much as she wanted.
I never really was questioned my age. There was a few shops where it was like, well, do you have your ID? I was like, no, I left it in the car. They were like, okay, well, how old are you? I was like, oh, I'm 21. They were like, oh, okay, no problem. And they were just simply handed to me.
Ferris says she's been in recovery for 2 years now and just graduated from a recovery high school. Sponsors say when the state legalized THC, they did not put an age limit on it, which created this loophole. The bill would close the loophole by imposing a hefty fine for selling THC products to minors.
A new tool could help doctors detect autism earlier in children. Autism Eye works by measuring a child's gaze and eye movement while they watch different videos and images. A diagnosis is made based on the child's reaction. A pediatric neurologist who helped create the tool says on average parents can suspect something wrong with their child's development at about 1 year of age.
When we diagnose autism about 1 year to 2 or potentially 3 years earlier, there is a huge impact in terms of their outcomes.
1 year old, can you imagine? Autism Eye is still in the developmental phase and is not available for clinical use right now.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, federal judges in New York and Texas have temporarily barred the U.S. from invoking the Alien Enemies Act to deport 5 different Venezuelans. This just coming out now. This until they can fight the government's attempt to remove them. The men were identified as belonging to the Trinidad gang, a claim their lawyers dispute. The 3 men are being detained right now in Texas, 3 of them in Texas, 2 in New York.
Tonight, Durham educators will meet with the school board to talk about the budget for the upcoming school year. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey explains some of the big agenda items.
Tonight, your child's teachers are weighing in on the district's budget. They'll be talking to Durham public school leaders here at the DPS headquarters later today. We've been staying on top of the fallout after the district announced a nearly $7 million budget deficit. The latest update, the school district is now under a hiring freeze. The freeze is in effect for the rest of the school year. It applies to most positions with only a few exceptions, like transportation staff. The Durham Association of Educators will share their ideas for the budget tonight. Parents are invited to share their thoughts, too, at 5:30. After they wrap up, the DAE will be invited to speak. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News in Durham.
Here in Wake County, parents and students are showing their disapproval of proposed budget cuts. School Superintendent Robert Taylor proposed the cuts because of a projected increase in cost. The proposed budget reduces school supplies by nearly 8%. It also eliminates 10 counselors, 10 social workers, and 5 unfilled nurse positions. There will be 3 input sessions before the board votes on May 6th.
On freeze alert, how local farmers are protecting their precious crops from this midweek cold snap.
Same name, new ownership. The timeline for the reopening of Big Lots stores, including one in our state. You can watch WRAL News live anytime on WRAL.com or the WRAL app on your streaming device. Welcome back. You're looking live at the Whirligig Park in Wilson, where a spring conservation and thank you pop-up event is going on right now. We hear Parker's Barbecue food truck is there as the park's conservation team showcases and cleans the barbecue whirligig. Parker's Barbecue sounds really good for lunch right now, doesn't it? That event runs until 3 o'clock.
Worth the trip.
Our teacher of the week was on a different career path in college before discovering her true calling was the classroom.
WRAL's Ken Smith introduces us to an educator who's very popular with her students and their families.
So we're going to turn to the side that says Paula.
At Powell Magnet Elementary School, Samantha Lowry is a 4th grade teacher known for going above and beyond to help her students in and outside the classroom.
I love these kids. I love watching them grow. So excited to see them every day. I hate being out because I don't want to not be here with them. They mean a lot to me. So which is the correct answer?
Lowry was a stay-at-home mom, but then she started spending more time here at Powell, volunteering and then student teaching, even though her college degree is in criminal justice and sociology.
How does that transition?
Well, I wanted to work with children anyway. I wanted to go into the juvenile system to work with kids, but being out here, I don't know, they just stole my heart.
It's not uncommon to see students giving Lowry a group hug. This is all part of her way of creating a nurturing environment for students to thrive.
First, somebody gets off.
She's especially mindful of students needing a little extra help.
You know, watching them struggle and not be able to get it is hard, at least for me. And I want them to get there, and I can see how bad they want it. And then when they finally get it, it's just, I don't know, it's just a wonderful feeling.
Miss Lowry, you are WRAL's Teacher of the Week. Give her a hand. Congratulations.
Ken Smith, WRAL News.
Stunned another one. If you would like to nominate a teacher, go to WRAL.com and enter Teacher of the Week in the search box.
A taste of winter in spring. Farmers are trying to protect against morning frost. Coming up, how a local farmer is protecting his crops.
Open for business, a discount retail chain closed its doors. Find out if you could see a Big Lots reopen near you. Well, that blue sky just looks like we're on the moon or something. That is gorgeous out here on our Wednesday afternoon, and more of it to come. We'll get a little bump in the temperatures as well here. Live look downtown Raleigh also. Let's head out to the WRAL weather patio. Elizabeth Gardner out there waiting on that warm up. Just a few degrees make a big difference here.
It does. You know, the sunshine makes all the difference in the world. Just being here in the sun feels fantastic. And, you know, it's kind of a nice contrast to what we saw over the weekend when highs were in the 80s to 90 degrees and it was humid and it just felt full on like summer. So this is almost like a treat to be out here. Not shorts and t-shirts weather, but it's just really comfortable. It's crisp. It's beautiful. That deep blue sky out there. We take a look at Fayetteville and Raleigh, Apex and Chapel Hill. So pretty everywhere. Probably just a few passing clouds, but generally just a lovely, lovely feel out there. Our next weather maker comes on Thursday and Friday, tomorrow night and into Friday. And you can see it. Some showers and thunderstorms moving towards Chicago. We have that warm front that's in the red there. As that front moves across us overnight tonight, it switches our wind direction to southerly, southwesterly, and that's going to help to bring our temperatures up almost 10 degrees for tomorrow. It's the cold front that's stretching from, say, just west of St. Louis to west of Dallas there, that blue line. That's when we're going to have the chance of some isolated severe storms. So our next weather maker brings a severe threat for our eastern counties and just a few of them. We have rain in the forecast for Thursday night and Friday and some small hail possible in some of these cells, and we'll explain why that is in just a few minutes. Tomorrow we'll start off with some sunshine early in the morning and then we'll begin to see increasing clouds during the afternoon. This is tomorrow at noon and you can start to see the clouds filling in. The models have been pretty consistent on the rain not arriving until maybe after dinner time. This is around 8 to 9 o'clock and it looks like we have a pretty powerful band that comes through there. It may just end up being heavy rain. We're not under any sort of severe threat for Thursday, but that's going to roll through with some heavy rain and some blustery winds. It may just not reach severe criteria. We see rain overnight and maybe a few sprinkles and some wet conditions for the morning commute on Friday. It's not likely to be pouring down rain, but it just may be some lingering wet conditions. And then after 2 o'clock, as the cold front comes swinging through, we see an increased chance of some cells popping up that could bring us some severe storms. We went ahead and added, you know, between 2 and 6 o'clock, just a very slim chance for rain tomorrow, but it really looks like that first line will get here around 8 or 9 o'clock with the heavier rain. Here's our severe weather threat. Edgecombe County, Wilson County, parts of Johnston, Wayne County, and Sampson County. Those are where we could end up with some hail or some strong, gusty, possibly damaging wind. But again, this is a level 1 risk, so it's a low risk of hail or wind, and then mainly near and east of I-95. So why are we going to have the hail potential for Friday? Down here on the ground, temperatures will likely be close to 70 degrees, but thunderstorms tend to tower. They tower way up into the sky as far as 7,000 feet sometimes, and so at 7,000 feet, the temperature will be 30 degrees. Those raindrops get lofted up, they freeze, and they fall. So we may end up with some hail on Friday as well. The weekend looks fairly dry, just a tiny chance of a shower on Saturday morning. Warmer temperatures are back into the 80s Monday and Tuesday.
Liz, thank you. A new national report shows climate change isn't just an environmental issue. It could also impact your home's value. WRAL climate reporter Liz McLaughlin joins us now. Liz, what does this new data actually say about home values here in North Carolina?
Well, Renee, the report projects that actually more than 2/3 of North Carolina counties could see home values drop over the next 30 years. It's tied to something called climate abandonment, where rising insurance costs and repeat weather disasters really push people out of these high-risk areas. And it's not just the coast, rural, even inland communities are also seeing increased risk from flooding and wildfires.
And insurance is a big part of the story as well. What are homeowners seeing?
So insurance premiums are rising faster than inflation, and here in North Carolina, homeowners are facing an average 15% increase over the next 2 years. But the rate bureau proposed an increase of almost 100% in some areas. So even people with lower risks are affected by this because insurance pools that risk statewide. That means that everyone is paying more as climate disasters get more frequent and more expensive. And we are supposed to hear from the rate bureau. They are basically saying that it is a possibility that insurance companies could leave the state. And that's something that we're already seeing in Florida, in California, and even here in North Carolina. Nationwide actually chose not to renew more than 10,000 policies here.
And a lot of people will want to know if their area is at risk. You can catch Liz's full report tonight at 6 on WRAL, including a look at which counties are expected to see the biggest changes in population and property value. Liz, thank you.
Thank you.
This morning's freeze warning forced local farmers to take some extra precautions to protect their bottom line. Farmers at Page Farms in Raleigh installed their overhead frost irrigation system. It prevents frost from damaging the blooms, which are crucial for future berry production. While the freeze warning presents some challenges, farmers say they don't expect this to delay the start of the the strawberry season, I should say. Megaphone, here it is. We asked you to give your voice to us. And the minimum wage, should the government raise minimum wage to $20 an hour? That's what we asked you earlier. We're collecting your answers. Right now, it's 60% to 40% saying yes. And you can just go to WRAL.com/yourvoice to give us your answer.
Tariffs on treats. The company behind the world's largest gummy treat just might avoid a 20% hike. The move that could help Haribo sidestep tariffs.
And you're winning Mega Millions numbers on your screen right now. Wrap things up with a look at a few of the headlines we're following for you today. A second person has died following a shooting in Raleigh. Sky 5 flew over the scene yesterday afternoon on Sumner Boulevard. Police found a man dead at that scene, and officers say he shot a woman before he took his own life. Police have not released their names or motive for the shooting.
Schools across the country and right here at home have seen the federal government terminate student visas. 2 students left NC State last week because of that, and UNC Chapel Hill announced 6 students there are impacted. Today, students from NC State and Duke are at the state legislative building advocating for students' rights.
Drinking water in Raleigh is getting safer. A new lab opened up today, expanding the city's ability to test its water. Today, leaders cut the ribbon on the $16 million project. WRAL took a tour inside the 15,000 square foot building. This means more space for these labs to expand their water testing capabilities. Right now, they serve 650,000 people in Wake County.
Some Big Lots stores are reopening tomorrow under new ownership. You may remember Big Lots filed for bankruptcy last year and closed more than 400 stores at that time. The first of 4 waves of openings begins tomorrow, and that includes only one here in North Carolina. It's in Asheboro, and 8 other Big Lots stores in other states. 55 other stores are set to reopen on May 1st, with 2 other rounds of reopening set to take place through early June.
A German candy maker hopes to avoid President Trump's 20% tariff by using its U.S. plant. German sweets factory Haribo has produced gummy bears since 1922. It produces candy at 16 plants around the world, including here in America. The company opened a factory in Wisconsin 2 years ago. The CEO hopes that will help shield their business from massive tariffs.
If you're ready to add a little spice in your life, why not consider adopting the sweet brother and sister duo from Cat Angels NC? You see, Rosemary, with the tortoiseshell fur, is a very playful girl, always looks to her brother for support in new situations. She can initially be a little shy, but her brother, Sage, is super affectionate almost from the start. They are 8 months old. If you'd like to meet this pair in person, fill out an application on the Cat Angels website, and a volunteer will be in touch.
Cute.
So cute. NBC News Daily is next on WRAL. Your next local news update in 30 minutes.
You can always get breaking news updates anytime with our WRAL News app. Enjoy that Wednesday blue sky out there.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.